fish for a reaction out of me.
I do that? Oh, come now.
You're making it fairly obvious, almost.
Now, I would not say I go out of my way to fish for reactions and try to be the funny guy.
Family Guy funny moments.
I'm the funniest moment of the funny moments.
In Family Guy.
Ugh, don't soil me like that.
Oh,
That's just that's a very, very broad and hurtful insult.
Well, lots of people like Family Guy.
Well, I'm sorry for them. I apologize for those people. I hope one day they may be saved.
Oof.
Okay, now we are live.
All right. Well, this is a pretty good day so far, I would say. Pretty good day. For me, anyway.
Not so much.
You were having a day.
Not so much, but you know what? It's the world's not going to come to an end. The clouds are going to come out tomorrow, and it's going to be another day. So, here we are. Let's do a fucking podcast.
That's true. That's very true. I would love to do a podcast. I wonder what topics we'll talk about.
Peter Molyneux and Care Bears.
No.
Well, fuck this. I'm not doing this podcast.
You were promised Peter Molyneux and Care Bears, probably both in the same room.
Yes. Now I've got you saying, oh no, we can't have Peter Molyneux or the Care Bears. Yes, we can.
All right, well, what's he done lately?
Nothing.
All right. Well, mission accomplished on our first topic of Peter Molyneux. He's done nothing, and that ends the topic, and this starts the podcast of Super Reset Brothers for February the 13th of 2017. I'm Tanner Larson. Over there is Peter Molyneux, and we will go ahead and begin with our first topic, and that is Overwatch events and how successful they've been, Patrick, and how well they've been doing these events. Because the first one was the Summer Games event.
Mm-hmm.
Then they moved on to, I believe it was Halloween. Then they had the Christmas event, and now they're having the Chinese New Year event wrap up, which brings me to believe that the next event would probably have something to do with spring.
Probably. For the most part, they were following, except for the Summer Games part, they were following a lot of the major events that are also in World of Warcraft. And I kind of expected them to keep doing that. And the next major event in World of Warcraft is the Love is in the Air event. And I thought maybe they would move on to that, but it doesn't look like they're going to.
No. They won't be in time for Valentine's. Probably next year, but who's to say that they won't repeat Chinese New Year event?
Yeah.
But I think the next one that I can see forthcoming would be, if not Summer Games again, then they would have to do something with spring because winter is itself wrapping up.
Yeah, I would predict that they're going to do something with Easter. That's because simply...
That might be it. That might be Easter. Who knows?
Yeah, they do an Easter event every single year in World of Warcraft. And like I said, a lot of their events seem to coincide with that. I mean, not every single one, obviously, because 2 out of the 4 did not. But I wouldn't be surprised if that trend continued. To have, like, an Easter event, you know, Easter's a big thing for a lot of people out there. I mean, why not continue a trend like that?
Mm-hmm.
And it really doesn't matter what event they choose to focus on. I think it's going to be great, just like everything they've done thus far.
Yeah, because earlier today on Sunday, I believe, Activision... Well, no, it wasn't Sunday. It was earlier this week, or this past week, that Activision Blizzard held an earning call, and the company itself made $6.6 billion. And I'm not saying that's all just on Blizzard, but their Call of Duty numbers were below figures. So it has to do something with Blizzard, I would assume. And Blizzard, in one way or another, is keeping Activision afloat.
Yeah, we know that the numbers of Call of Duty are starting to sink. I think people are just getting tired of it because it's the same experience year in, year out. Meanwhile, with games like Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, even Legion with World of Warcraft, Blizzard
Destiny
is on.
even.
Yeah, Blizzard is on fire right now in terms of like the content that they're producing, while Activision, not so much.
Not so much, but
No.
they do have Destiny 2 on the way, which kind of stunned me that they announced Destiny 2 even.
I'm not surprised by that because I think most of us knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, but I didn't expect it like so soon. I know the game was released but they were still like building some new content for Destiny. So having Destiny 2 come up is kind of a surprise to me.
Let me ask you, how do you feel about the way that Destiny's been managed so far?
Has Destiny's been going...
Like, the way they've been managing it, releasing content, treating the game, all that goodness.
Well, I feel like it's been kind of a one-way street. Like, the people who were there since day one, or the diehard fans anyway, they're the ones who are keeping that game and community afloat, because I don't see any new players coming into that game after their last big expansion. So it's kind of in a state of like stagnation almost, where you will have those diehard players come in and log on and all that and play a game or two. But it's not like Overwatch where it's continuing to grow and grow and grow, and it's not so much of a stagnation right now, because you do have new players coming in even now, almost coming up on a year for the game's release on the anniversary. That game is continuing to grow, whereas Destiny, yes, it's a 3-year-old game, and I understand that, but after 1 year, the game was almost kind of stagnant at that point.
Yeah.
Which is normal for a game after 1 year, because Overwatch is right now kind of an outlier, an anomaly in the game industry, if you will.
Not to mention, it doesn't really help when you're forcing people to buy the expansions to continue. It's not traditional DLC. You have to buy the expansions to continue playing with your friends. Whereas most other console games have nothing like that. So that was new. I don't think the idea caught on. And honestly, the management from Activision, I feel like it's been clown shoes with that. Like, it's been a complete car wreck, the way Activision has managed it.
It has been a little bit of a complete car wreck, and I think from the get-go it's been kind of a disaster cleanup almost, because some people were upset with Peter Dinklage's performance, and then they had to replace him with Nolan North, and it's been one thing after another where there's not enough content, some issues and bugs and needing fixes. So it's been weird, because also the DLC has been kind of a necessity instead of something just to add on.
And it gets even worse when you consider, like, after they get everybody on board and agree to this DLC, this DLC structure that they have here, which most people shunned and said, I don't think so. So the diehards buy into it, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll jump on this. And then they're like, psych, Destiny 2, bitches.
Yeah,
you can't feel good about that.
No, I don't know how you can. I mean, if you're excited for the game, I mean,
more
good
power
on
to you, but I think you're getting abused.
It really does feel like a fan abuse almost, where they're forcing you to come back and buy this game, and who knows if it's going to be more of the same. Because if it's more of the same, I don't know if it's going to succeed.
So I don't have a lot of faith in the Activision management of games right now. I just don't. Whereas you see somebody like Mike Morhaime over on the Blizzard side that's just putting like all the right people in all the right places and just making wonderful, wonderful stuff.
Blizzard right now is like a puzzle that's solving itself, and the pieces are falling automatically into the correct place. Where Blizzard, everything's gone right with Hearthstone. Everything has gone right with Heroes of the Storm. Everything has gone right, for the most part, for Overwatch. And it's odd to see that kind of continuity with a company for so long, because it's been going almost correctly for them since they launched World of Warcraft. And when did they launch World of Warcraft? That must have been early 2000s. So for a company to have that good of...
It was, late 2004.
Okay, so almost mid 2000s, but still, to go on a 10+ good track record for Blizzard is a phenomenal thing. And they haven't showed any signs of slowing down at this point.
Yeah. Fun fact, development for World of Warcraft did start in 2000.
Okay.
So it did start development then and morphed into a completely different game by the time it released in late 2004. But, I mean, that's the point where we're making here. Blizzard is not a company that goes for the sprint. They go for the trot. It releases when it's ready to be released. They have that kind of mindset. And it really shows in the final product of what they're able to produce. I would say, like, the only two areas right now where I hear people, you know, incredibly unhappy is they're not happy about how stale Hearthstone has become. And I'm sure Ben Brode is, you know, racking his brain on how to fix that part. And people are a little unhappy with how StarCraft 2 is going right now, but I digress. StarCraft 2 has been out for 7 years, close to at this point.
Already. Which is weird to say that StarCraft 2 has been out for 7 years almost.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like vaporware at one point.
Yeah, like it was never going to happen, then it did. So I could see the people are, you know, feeling that maybe StarCraft 2's gotten a bit stale, maybe there's some issues there that can be worked on, but case in point, they have released some solid stuff. They are producing, you know, some solid numbers when it comes to sales figures, you know, gamer retention, things like that. So, yeah, they're doing exactly what they need to do. And the other side of the coin on Activision probably should take a little bit of the heat.
Right. And one more thing before we move on to the next topic on Hearthstone. They need to get this next expansion right because you're going to be rotating out the League of Explorers expansion pack. With
yes.
Expansion, which there are a lot of very good cards in the League of Explorers expansion, like Reno Jackson and Bran Bronzebeard. So
yes.
You have to find stable, not replacements, but alternatives for those cards.
Well, let's talk about that for a moment because in terms of, like I was saying, people are a bit unhappy with Hearthstone at the moment, and it's simply because they feel that the meta has become incredibly stale. Like, you play...
Well, that'll change with the next expansion because you're going to get rid of Reno Jackson. Very powerful tournament card, which heals for pretty much everything if you don't have duplicates, and Bran Bronzebeard, which triggers battle cries twice. So those are two very powerful.
Right, but here's the problem. The two main decks that are winning in terms of like high rank play right now do not use those cards. We're talking about Aggro Shaman and Pirate Warrior.
Well, the last tournament in the Hearthstone Europe tournament, 80% was Reno Mage. That was the most common deck, was Reno Mage.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's good that happened there, but I'm talking about across the board. Like, Brode has admitted that, like, they're aware that, like, the most commonly played stuff in, like, all of ladder play, I'm talking about all of ladder play, are those two.
Well, do you think Kazakus had some part to do with that?
You know, I'm not sure, because Kazakus seems like a card that you would just put into Dragon Priest, and there you go. Dragon Priest is kind of a control deck, and you would think, like, again, something like Aggro Shaman, you've got Kazakus to deal with that stuff, you've got Reno, you've got Bran to use Draconite Operative and get, you know, two things from their deck. You would think that would give you enough control to where you would be able to handle stuff like that.
But you can also put Kazakus in a Reno lock, or pretty much anything that doesn't run duplicates for the most part, because that is a very powerful card that gets you so much with one potion.
Yeah, Kazakus is definitely a big staple, and I thought that, you know, he would be able to bring the control out because, you know, keep controlling until you get to turn 10 and start doing your thing, but apparently aggro is still a major issue. Brode said that he was going to look into it and see if tweaks were necessary and would announce if something's coming later, but no guarantees, so...
But I feel like this next expansion has to deal with the issues of aggro players, because more often than not there is a lot of aggro out there.
Oh, tremendous amount.
As opposed to like a mid-range or kind of a wait-and-see kind of player.
Yeah. I just, for example, Miracle Rogue. I've been running that, and I was missing one really important piece from that, and that was Leroy Jenkins. Finally crafted him, and now, like, I can just crush people with Miracle Rogue. It's ridiculous what I can do with that.
So I feel like the next expansion has to kind of have more taunts than anything, and that might help it just a little bit because that would save your face. But there has to be some workaround for aggro because right now, even though Hunter did get kind of nerfed with the expansion of Gadgetzan, like there's still some alternatives for aggro players.
Yeah, the one thing that, like, Broad suggested, I'm just like, are you serious? Because he pretty much just suggested, you know, play more control stuff, play like Control Warrior, because, you know, they put down a lot of taunt.
It doesn't help.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what? Because yeah, you can play Control Warrior, great. So you'll put down all your taunts, and then, like, oh, Control Shaman or Aggro Shaman, no, they certainly don't have board wipe damage. Except they do.
Yeah.
Except they absolutely do. Same with, if you've got, like, say, somebody's playing Pirate Warrior, in terms that, you know, they want to get their damage through, they can just play Brawl, or do whatever else they can think of to just slam through your stuff and keep moving. So I don't think that's enough. In terms of it, I think Reno is probably a bit too much, because, you know, the idea of paying, like, what is it, 6 to regen your entire health back to full, that's a little insane.
It is.
But at the same time,
insane.
But at the same time, it's equally insane to think that there's nothing to help. You get what I'm saying? I mean, there has to be something.
Yeah. Right.
So that's my 2 cents with that.
Well, let's see how this all plays out.
Best way to do it.
Speaking of way to do it, Nintendo is certainly bringing about a way to do it with Splatoon 2 and its global test fire, which is coming up in late March. So if you're planning on getting a Nintendo Switch, beginning on March 20, which a lot of people are actually, Nintendo Switch will have a global test fire for Splatoon beginning on March 24th, and which will conclude on the 26th. So basically that weekend, I would say, from March 24th in Pacific time, they're going to have a global test fire from noon to 1, and then later on that day from 8 to 9. And these are in Pacific time, by the way. March 25th, then they're going to have a global test fire on 4 a.m. to 5 a.m., then one from noon to 1 p.m., and one from 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. And on the March 26th, the last one would be from 4 to 5 a.m., so if you're an early bird or a late owl, March 26th is your game on that one.
Do you remember the last one?
Yeah, it was okay. They really need to work on the connectivity issues for this one, because even though, yes, it's an open beta and a global test fire, you really want that online connectivity to be stable, because this is going to be one of your main online games going forward with the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
So having connectivity issues with Splatoon 2, even though it's a global test fire, it's going to be crucial, very crucial.
Oh, well, people were ready to burn villages down last time. When there were some when there were connection issues with the test fires.
And even when Splatoon was released, there were some minor connectivity issues.
That's what I was going to say. To be fair, some connection issues did carry on into the final product. Like,
but not so much as with the global test.
Oh, no, nowhere near that. Oh my god, that was bad. Anybody who didn't participate in that, all I can say is be proud that you didn't have to deal with that, because I remember, like, constant disconnections. Constantly being unable to connect into matches, saying you couldn't connect with other players. It was just lunacy. And then some of that did carry on into the final product, where you're playing the game, and all of a sudden you get a flashing message on the screen that says connection issue, and then you just disconnect and fall off. I've heard some people say it's better if you get, like, the Ethernet adapter that was for the Wii and use that. But in terms of at the same time, well, that's what Luigi Man says. Anybody who knows, like, we're in the chat room. We got a guy named Luigi Man. So he was saying that he tested it and got better results using that. But what I would say is you shouldn't have to do that. It should just work.
Yeah, that's the basic thing. It should just work for most people.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to, like, cut corners, do a dance. You shouldn't have to do that crap. It should just work.
Right. But there is one thing, or two things I should say, no pun intended, for Splatoon 2 that they have announced. They have announced a spectator mode, which is great.
Yes.
If you don't want to just, like, play right away if your group is too full or whatever, so you're just like, hey, come and watch us or whatever. And then there's offline tournament modes. So that is also a very good thing to have, offline tournaments. I don't know how exactly the offline tournament, but, I'm sure Nintendo knows much more about that than I do.
Well, offline tournaments is going to be great because that brings the esport aspect into it.
Yes.
Absolutely. That is going to be super exciting. Because, Nintendo, they teased it a little bit when they had, like, people coming like E3 or the Treehouse, and they would move around with it a little bit, but they didn't seem like they were ready to take the full plunge into it, and I think this time they are.
Yeah.
And
it really does... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I am ready to cheer somebody on. I am ready for this.
Yeah, because this mode, the offline tournament mode, really does seem like Nintendo is full head-on to make an esports plunge with Splatoon 2, as opposed to Splatoon, where they kind of teased it a little bit, but they didn't really feel entirely comfortable about it because, one, they didn't have an offline tournament mode. They just had, like, offline play for the most part, but you still had to be, like, friends with everybody and all that, so it was kind of a mess to begin with. So the main thing that Splatoon had going for it was the online play, and the online play was okay, it was decent, but it did have its problems, as we did mention, and it didn't really fit the esports mold entirely like it would with Smash or something like that.
Right.
But with Splatoon 2, it seems like they're ready to go head on with this and make a really big impact with it. And with spectator mode, that's good for commentary purposes. So it really does seem like Splatoon 2 does seem to be the main game that Nintendo wants to focus on as far as esports goes.
I'm all for it. I am ready to dive into this and, like, give it my full attention.
Speaking of esports, did you read, by the way, that 2K, or it was either Take-Two or 2K, and the NBA struck a deal for an esports league?
Really?
Yes.
Well, 2K, Take-Two, it's the same company, more or less, just a hierarchy.
Well, basically, same company, yeah.
Yeah.
But they want every NBA team to own an esports team and basically create a league from the ground up.
Wow.
Which could be huge as far as, like, sports games go.
That is very, shall we say, very abrasive. I don't know how that would work, but I applaud them for, taking that initiative.
I think they want to do something as far as, like, something similar Madden had, but something more official. Because the NFL never really embraced a Madden esports venue. Whereas the NBA with Adam Silver, it seems a little bit more liberal as far as that goes, and trying to get esports into a little bit more prominence. And so I can see, obviously, like, the league is probably going to be an NBA 2K league. There's no question about that. But they're going to have, more teams based around that. But they might also focus on Counter-Strike Global Offense and some other games as well, because there have been talks about that.
So that would be cool. I'm not shocked at all that the NFL wasn't really interested in jumping on that. I think they're more supportive of, like, fantasy football and stuff like that, rather than the actual Madden video game.
Right.
So that didn't shock me. But
it does seem to me that the NBA is taking a huge leap, and may I also say a huge risk, too, because if they don't know what they're really getting themselves into and they're just saying, yeah, we'll fund it, then it's going to be something similar like the WNBA, where you'll get an audience, but you won't get a fairly large one.
Right. And along with that, that might also bring some more value to, like, the different games that come out each year, because honestly, we know what happened to sports games after the year passes.
Yeah.
They go right in the bargain bin. Nobody wants that crap anymore. But
because you have a new update.
Right, you have a new update. But in terms of it, if there's more initiative to buy the new game every year and not wait for the bargain bin to happen, maybe that might help a bit.
You definitely would, no doubt about that.
So I think that's a good idea.
By the way, speaking of, well, there is no segue for that. I was gonna make a pun about like selling tickets, but E3 is planning on selling tickets to the public. Which, Patrick, I think we saw this beforehand with a similar experiment that E3 had to like have its own like separate public event outside of E3.
Oh.
And this to me seems like they looked at that experiment and it's like, oh yeah, that was a great success. Why don't we sell tickets to the public? This just has disaster written all over it because you don't know who is going to buy these tickets and how they're going to disrupt these press conferences.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be.
That's one way to put it. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting for the media to report on these disruptions. But man, this just seems like it's. I mean, yes, it's every gamer's dream to like maybe go to E3 once or twice or whatever, and I don't know. There's a reason why tickets are supposedly so expensive and almost exclusive to just media members or whatever you want to say, but like, man, I don't know if this is the right move for E3. I really don't.
I'm just interested to see how many of the gamer alligators decide to show up.
It's
because you know they're gonna.
Yeah, because it's obviously still going to be in LA. It's still going to be at the convention center and all that, but I don't know. Tomorrow on Monday, I should say February 13th, 1,500 tickets will go on sale. Tickets start for early bird prices at $150, and the regular price will be $250. So that's moderately cheap for something like E3, I would say.
Yeah, I suppose, but at the same time, I still say, like, you get just as good of experience, you know, watching a stream or something like that, if you're a fan and you're not actually with the press. But the interesting part that caught my eye with everything here, because, you know, you and I, we both said it time and time again, we would say E3 is not for you. E3 is for the investors and for the press. We can't say that anymore.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are going to be, I would say, disappointed because it is strictly for the investors. I still wholeheartedly believe that.
Oh, I do too, but
it's not exactly for, you know, consumers or fans of these products.
Oh, I believe that too, but the point is you can't make that claim anymore because they just opened Pandora's box. Now anybody...
So now I'm wondering if it's going to be a one-year thing because we will see disruptions and...
Oh yeah, anybody with money to burn can now just come in there and do whatever they want. It's like I said, you know, you really can't be the guys that go in there and criticize because it's not for you. they just made it for them. The ESA just made it for them. So now they can go in and they can criticize and they can disrupt. And everything we've been saying for years has been completely scrapped because it's not the truth anymore.
Yeah, apparently not. So I wonder if the ESA is really going to regret this decision.
I think so, but we'll have to see.
I think so. I think it's going to be a one-year deal where if you really want to see what E3 is like, jump on this now because it may never happen again.
I think everybody took a shot of whiskey and was like, hey, here's a good idea.
God damn. No. Just no. How many... Okay, I want to ask, how many times are we going to see, you know, someone get booed on stage?
Oh.
Because you know it's going to happen, especially at a Microsoft event.
Oh, could you imagine the chants and the catcalling and everything?
It's not a chance. It's going to happen because
no. The chants, like WWE style chants that people were going to break out.
Oh, the chants.
Oh,
okay, I thought you said chants. I'm like,
no, chanting.
Yeah, no, chants are going to happen as well because you will get. This is obviously like one bad apple is going to spoil the whole bushel.
You go to the Nintendo treehouse, you hear clap, 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 Miyamoto.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! ESA, what have you done? Because I mean, yes, I mean, I'm looking at these tickets and I'm like, okay, I might want to spend $150, maybe go there for the summer or whatever, like go to LA, see how E3 really is as, you know, someone of the press or whatever. But this year is going to be very, very interesting, to say the least, because there will be catcalls, there will be booing, and there will be chants.
Who's going to get booed?
Unless, oh man, that's a question of the ages. Because you'll have the Microsoft fans maybe go to Sony and disrupt their press conference. You'll have the Sony fans go to Microsoft and disrupt their press conference. You'll have the Nintendo diehards go over to the treehouse and just say, "Where's Metroid?"
Oh my god, it's going to be the console wars in real time.
It's going to be so stupid to see. Like, okay, I want to watch E3 just for the curiosity of, like, who's going to be that guy.
I want people to start... Here's what I want. I want people to start, like, a fund, do the GoFundMe, so one of us can go to E3 and just take photos of, like, the madness that I am sure is going to break out.
It's, oh, man.
We will go there and cover, do, like, some photojournalism and cover that mess for you, because you know you want to see it.
Oh, my God. I'm salivating at the idea of covering Disruption Madness.
Because you'll hear it, but you won't see it.
There is no God-given way that you are going to get 15,000 silent, polite people. Like, you'll get a handful, but you'll also get some people who are there just to see the world burn.
Oh, so absolutely.
This to me just screams like a very bad idea.
People with heavy opinions and way too much money in their pockets. You just invited them. You
are gorgeously invited to E3. Woo!
This is going to be fun. But one thing about it.
Interesting.
One thing about it, really quick, I'm going to segue into this, because one game I'm certain everybody's going to see at E3 while you're catcalling Miyamoto and burning booths down is Injustice 2. Yeah. So I just got an invite to the online beta. I've been playing it a bit there. And I'd say the big thing that we talked about and some other people talked about before was the idea of loadouts in a fighting game where you can equip, like, different armor pieces and whatnot to get, like, different stat boosts and whatnot. So I've been playing it a bit, and I was initially concerned because I thought if you don't have different, like, modes to play, one where you didn't use those, that would be a problem for anybody approaching the game. And I can wholeheartedly say, so far, that is completely the truth. That is absolutely a problem.
How big of a problem is it?
Like, okay, forgive me, I cannot remember the name of the tank character that's in the open beta right now. He's part of the Red Lantern Corps, I should say, and he's just big and burly and red. And, like, there was a guy who put, like, a whole bunch of, like, armor gear on him to give him more armor. Right. I would do, like, full combos and just nail the fuck out of this guy, and he wouldn't care. I was just like, wow. I must be a really bad player. What's going on? And, like, I got beaten over and over and over. And I was on the stream saying, this game needs to be polished. I don't understand what's going on. And then it clicked what was happening. I was like, I'm playing people who have extra gear added to their characters. No wonder.
So is it, like, paid DLC, or is it just a thing in the game?
You have to play. I mean, you'll get the armor pieces while playing. Honestly, I did get, like, a legendary piece after winning, like, one game against somebody. But the point is, when you first get started, you are going to get your ass handed to you. You're going to get some common pieces that will help you get started for a few characters. But at first, you are going to be like the mud on somebody's fucking shoe for about an hour. And that's going to break your spirit. But wow. Overall, in terms of it, it is highly stunning visually. Very visually stunning. Looks a lot better than the first Injustice, I could say. The one criticism I have in terms of it right now is Superman doesn't look a damn thing like Superman.
Well, that's normal for video games.
Like, his face and his disheveled hair, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this?
What's weird is that we're still waiting on a good...
Waiting on a good
or at
what?
least a decent one.
A good what?
A Superman game.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, he looked like Superman in the first Injustice. I don't know what happened this time.
Yeah, but that's not a Superman game.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I would say you're never getting one. Oh,
Apparently not.
you know what? I take that back. I know the one group that can do it. I know the one
Don't
developer.
you fucking say Titus Software, I swear
Nope,
to God.
not saying it. Not saying
Right.
Titus. I am saying Rocksteady. Because if they can fix Batman, they can fix Superman.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Rocksteady could make a good Superman game.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Would you think that they're the only ones who can do it?
I think so, because they seem to think outside of the box. Everybody had no fucking clue what to do with Batman. And here comes Rocksteady, and they're like, oh, the formula's so simple, guys. Check this out. And everybody was like, holy shit.
Because I thought that, Telltale might be able to make a good Superman game based on dialogue or something like that, but I don't know.
Maybe, because, I mean, like...
Maybe.
When it
But
comes
it's
to
tricky.
When it comes to a Telltale game, and, like, the way they do, like, dialogue and choice-based, they can put that formula with just about anything you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been putting it with just about everything you can think of, from Walking Dead to Game of Thrones to Minecraft. So they've been putting it with a whole lot of stuff. Recently Batman.
Yeah.
So yeah, they could definitely do that with Superman. But the thing I want to see is like a full-blown Superman game that allows you to play Superman, and it's not going to be some sandbox I can do anything man kind of thing. Right. It's going to be a legit game. That would be cool.
But yeah, Injustice 2. Injustice 2 is a thing that's happening, and it may be a dumpster fire.
It may be. We'll have to see the final product and see how that goes. So far, I really like Black Canary. I think she's a lot of fun.
So she's a new character,
along
with whom else?
Supergirl is new.
Okay.
So is the dude from Red Lantern I was talking about. And Blue Beetle.
Really?
Yeah, Blue Beetle's in there. He has his super special, which is Circle. It's kind of similar to Nightwing's from the first one. Like when you press it, he will start using like the beetle claws, the beetle talons, and he can fight with those, or he can just use his fists. And I think that it changes up his combos too. So that's fairly similar to how Nightwing played. So you've got that. Black Canary, the reason why I like her is she has this meter that builds up, and then she can do her Canary Scream, and you can like combo with that after you knock them. It knocks them all the way to the other side of the screen and then stuns them. So if you do the Canary Scream and then start like dashing forward, you can do a combo. If you let it to get it to like halfway filled and do that, it'll do a stun, and then you can do a combo that way. So she's pretty combo heavy. I like her. Superman so far, I think maybe it's revenge since he was the best character last game, but I thought he kind of sucked.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Batman's still badass.
Yeah, obviously it's Batman. So, one final piece of news before we head on to our little game that we do at the end of every week is Steam. And they're announcing that they are ending the Greenlight program that started in 2012. So the thing is going to be lasting 4-5 years almost. And then they're going to move on to something called Steam Direct, which there's not a lot of details to Steam Direct, unfortunately. But this is basically a replacement for Greenlight where independent developers can go into Steam Direct and they'll have to pay a fee to get into the store, and there have been responses from as low as $100 to as high as $5,000 to just get in the store, and that's ridiculous. In my opinion.
Yeah, that's a little insane.
Which, unfortunately, a lot of people took that as concrete fact, which it's not concrete fact. It's just something that they're stating, like, we've gotten mentions as high as $5,000 and as low as $100. So it could be $100, or it could be like $1,000. But I don't agree with the whole $5,000 thing just to get your game in the store. That's ludicrous, to say at least.
That's
Because
also
then you're
going
gonna-
to
then you're going to eliminate 90% of the indie market.
well, that might lower for the indies, like, since they can't pay as much. But at the same time, that means, like, if some other developer like Microsoft wants to come put, like, maybe Halo Wars on that way or something, yeah, that's never happening. What that is going to do is it's going to cut sales away from Steam, and that's going to force other developers to create their own Steam-like platforms.
Yeah.
And you can argue whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, because some people do feel that Valve tries to monopolize the market.
I mean, that's true. They do try to monopolize the market, but at the same point, it's also, also like a one-stop hub for all the independent developers, so they don't have to like try and reach out to too many different platforms and just kind of oversaturate things. But I do agree that they do need to have some kind of competition to Steam. Origin is not going to be it. Uplay is not going to be it.
No. Uplay is definitely not going to be it. Uplay,
not even close.
Uplay is like burning trash fire. It's bad.
There's a lot of bad things that Uplay, but Origin is the closest competitor, and it's not even close.
No, not even, because it's all EA stuff. I have no problem with Origin, first and foremost.
Right.
I think
Origin is great for EA games. But
yeah, I
outside
think
of
it
EA
does
games-
what it does. And EA Origin Access is a good program. I currently use it. I have no problem with it. So yeah, I'm cool with that stuff. But in terms of it, I don't see EA reaching out to bring indies onto their platforms, which means indies still rely on Steam, and that's a problem.
And that's a problem, especially if they go with a price tag of $5,000 to get your game into the store, which I don't see happening. I really don't. But if that is the case, they're eliminating a huge chunk of that entire market. Any aspiring game developer would have to take out a bank loan just to put this game on Steam.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, if we made Super Reset Brothers the game, and like I was like, hey Gabe, how
That'd
much
be a horrible game.
First and foremost, that would be a very boring game.
That'd be a very boring, bad, awful game. It'd probably be the worst game ever made.
Because it would just be us talking about topics, and I would make a dumb joke, and then Tanner would be like, But, but if we did make this game, and I came to Gabe Newell, and I was like, hey Gabe, how much to get, our game on Steam? And he's like, oh, $5,000. I'd be like, Gabe, I love you. I love you, man. But I'm going to throat punch you. I'm seriously going to throat punch you.
Yeah, I don't see the $5,000 happening. Maybe 500. 500 seems fair, I would say, because not only are you trying to get a game onto the market, but it's also assures, quality control. Like, you're not putting all sorts of garbage on Steam. Like, you do have to have some kind of limit on there.
Well, yeah, you can't
to,
just
make sure that people are trying to make a good product out there.
Right, and I know that there has to be some type of reform. I mean, Jim Sterling has been marching around screaming about this for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And he's not wrong at all. I mean, people can get annoyed with him all they want, but the truth is, he's got a point.
Yeah.
But I'm not certain that, like, becoming, like, Super Taxman is going to be, the fix for the issue. I think that's just going to crop up new ones.
Well, how so?
Well, like I said, what we were just talking about, being Super Taxman, talking about, like, here's this game where it's going to cost, like, this insane amount of money. You can't do that. You've got to come to a happy medium. Like, for an indie game, scale it down because they're not going to have that much money. If it's a major publisher, scale it up. As long as you're willing to scale and you're willing to look at it at a case-by-case basis, then it shouldn't be a problem. But if it's a one-size-fits-all kind of thing, that's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, it will be a disaster if it's a fits-all fix. But it's like you said, if it's a publisher wanting to put a game on Steam Direct, then obviously you're going to up the price up because they're going to have money to fund it, obviously. But if it's something like one dude productions or something like that, and it's just one guy and just his funds, and he's got like pocket change, then you might, lower the scale down to like maybe $100-$200.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's the big thing that needs to be looked at, and the big thing that needs to be considered. And if they're willing to do that, then everything's okay.
Because the obvious phrase is you have to spend money to make money, and anyone who's expecting, a free thing is obviously, kind of full of themselves, to be honest, if they're expecting something that's free to put the game on the Steam market, which that's kind of what Steam Greenlight did, but it also opened like a Pandora's box to a bunch of garbage.
Yep. And we've talked about that.
I hate to say it like that, because I don't mean like indie developers are garbage. There's a lot of good indie developers, but
Dan Fornes.
That's one of them. But there's also, a good chunk of indie developers who are just that good. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the reality. There are going to be people who are good and bad at what they.
There are some trash developers that, when Jim Sterling gets a hold of them, they get awfully salty.
Yep.
And then put in, like, trading cards of, like, a fat troll that gets people to harass people on the internet. It's dumb. We've talked about this before. Let's get to our fun segment.
All right, let's get to our fun little segment that we do. It's called Buy, Try, or Die. Patrick, get the music.
All right, and let me get the music.
So what we do before you hit play on that is we get a topic, or not a topic, we get a game that's releasing this week. There's not a lot to choose from this week, unfortunately, but there is still a lineup, and we'll say go buy it, try it out, or let the game die.
Let's do this.
And now it's time to take a look at the week ahead with Buy, Try, or Die.
There we go.
Right, so, here we go. First game on the list for this week is the ever popular, Patrick, I don't know if you've heard of this game, Danganronpa 1-2 Reload for PS4, Buy, Try, or Die.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. That game's insane. Buy.
I don't know if you're actually, like, trolling me now.
No, I'm not trolling you. That game
you actually have heard of this?
Yeah. Danganronpa. Yeah, it's a game where, like, they take these teenagers and, like, they put them in a school, and the teenagers have to escape, but they have to kill each other to get out. It's crazy.
Oh, okay. So it's like Columbine the game. I'm gonna try it.
I wouldn't say it's that hardcore, but yeah.
Okay,
So
fair enough. That might be a little too dark. Star Trek Bridge Crew for HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, and PlayStation VR, Buy, Try, or Die.
I actually remember writing about this, and I'm a big Star Trek fan, so buy.
I would like to try it out. I'm not a huge believer in VR, but I would like to try out anything Star Trek for sure. Styx, Shards of Darkness, and no, not the band Styx, unfortunately, but it is STYX, Shards of Darkness. It's a stealth video game, Buy, Try, or Die.
Yeah, I'll try it. Because it has the name Styx.
Yeah, I would love to try anything Styx. But it's for Windows, PS4, and Xbox One, in case you were wondering. All three of those games release on the 14th, so at the date of this recording, that's released. So go out and try those games.
Yay.
Then you have two games on March 16th. Accel World versus Sword Art Online, Millennium Twilight for PS4 and PS Vita. Man, there's a lot of very weeby games on PS4. I hate to kind of say it like that, but
wow.
there's just a lot of games like that. Buy, Try, or Die.
Yeah. Send all your hate messages to Tanner. You see his Twitter handle. Honestly, I really have no interest in trying this. Die.
I'll try it. That's the fourth straight try for me. I'm gonna try this one because Sword Art Online, there's a lot for it, and the game, from what I've seen, looks interesting.
So. Yeah, I'm not interested.
And Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash. It's a water gun game. Buy, Try, or Die.
What? Okay, I'll try it. Sure, it's a water gun game.
I'm gonna let this one die because we don't need another DOA beach volleyball. We don't need a third game like that.
But it's water guns.
Well, we already have Splatoon 2 coming out, so that's ink, and ink is much better than water.
Oh, you've got a point.
Yep. So, do you want to reverse your decision? It's not too late.
I'll reverse it and let it die.
All right. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna let this game die. Oof. We're gonna let that game drown in its own water. And with that being said, this has been Super Reset Brothers for February the 14th of 2016. I'm Tanner Larson.
And I'm Patrick Breeden.
And I don't know why we're whispering, but we're gonna whisper anyway, and we'll see you guys next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, so the secret code is FU. Okay, go.
Got it.